We're here at the Strikeforce pre-fight press conference, and joining us now is CEO of Strikeforce, Scott Coker. And Scott, let me talk to you about what's going on with Strikeforce. I mean, we had the World Heavyweight Grand Prix. It was announced well over a year ago. A lot of momentum off that starting off with. A couple of so-called favorites got bounced early. Since then, Zuffa bought you guys out, and now we're waiting to see when Josh Barnett and Daniel Cormier are going to fight. When and where do you expect that to take place?
We're trying to put that fight together in the next couple of months, 2 or 3 months. Daniel Cormier, he is here in Columbus, Ohio, so you'll have a chance to shake his hand, see how his hand's doing. But I hear that his hand's doing very well, and he'll be ready to fight soon. So, we're trying to put that fight together. We'll have probably something to announce mid next week.
Okay. And then along with those lines, you feel, like I mentioned, you had a lot of momentum at the start of this. It was a great concept. Everyone loved it, kind of going back to the old days, how everything was in Japan and Pride and all that. Do you feel like a lot of the steam from that momentum has really been lost over the time?
Well, here's the thing is that, injuries always hurt, injuries can hurt a tournament like this, and that's what happened, and unfortunately that's when we went down. But when I think about the main event between Josh and Daniel Cormier, I think it's going to be an amazing fight, and we'll rebuild the hype and rebuild, the heat on the fight, because those two guys have no problem talking, believe me, so it'll be fun.
And then with that being said, I know this is going to be the last fight in the Strikeforce heavyweight division. What's going to happen with those guys after? Are they going to move up to the UFC or move to the UFC, I should say?
Actually, the fight will happen, and then there's going to be one more super fight in the heavyweight division, and then eventually they'll move up to the UFC. But, the great thing about that is now the UFC has all the, the heavyweights that we had, and they had their great heavyweights, and now they have an unbelievable heavyweight division, and we'll get to all watch it on TV.
Yep. And along those lines, too, what is the future for Strikeforce now? Is it going to be where you have one more super fight in the heavyweight division? A lot of guys are going to the UFC. Like, you anticipate like a lot of back and forth between Strikeforce and UFC fighters? Is it going to be strictly a home for women's MMA? What is the future for Strikeforce?
Well, first of all, that we signed the Showtime deal,
yeah.
So we're going to be producing fights for the next couple of years, and we have our own roster, and the fighters that went back and forth. We're during a great period of whether we're going to have a Showtime agreement or not, but since that agreement is done, the fighters will not be jumping back and forth. We're going to have our own fighters, and I think we have a tremendous pool of talent, and you'll see it on Saturday night, because these fighters up here are amazing. And when you think about Paul Daly fighting Masaki, that's going to be an unbelievable fight. That might be the sleeper fight of the night. And then, Josh and KJ have never been in a boring fight. I mean, people forget, KJ is a guy that went, before Carlos beat Nick Diaz, which, I have my opinions on that, but, KJ was the last guy to beat Nick Diaz, and he's had some great fights with Nick. Josh has some great fights with Gilbert. Gilbert Melendez will be in the house on Saturday night to watch us fight, so we're excited.
And then also, recently Dana White said he's going to have more of an involvement with Strikeforce. What does that change anything for you at all, or is it kind of like he's kind of working under you, or how's that work?
No, it's you know what, I mean, at the end of the day, Dana is talking to the Showtime folks on some of the production elements and things like that, and I think they had a great meeting last week or a week before, and I heard everything is going very well. But Dana is he's a great promoter, and anytime he wants to have his hands involved in something, it's going to be a good thing. And it's his company too. Him and Lorenzo, bought Strikeforce almost about a year ago. So. Those are two smart guys, have great insight on the sport, great marketeers, and Dana is, look at the amount of Twitter followers and Facebook fans he has. I mean, he's an unbelievable promoter.
And in the last few weeks, the past couple months, Cyborg tested positive for BEDs. Also, King Mo Lawal, a current and a former champion doing that. How much of a black eye has that put on not just the sport, but also for Strikeforce?
Well, I mean, it's not just Strikeforce specific. I mean, this has been an ongoing issue for many years, and that's why Zuffa has implemented the testing policy before they sign fighters, right? So they're going to do their part to circumvent those type of situations, but it's not isolated just to Strikeforce, and now they're going to have to take the punishment that comes along with it from the athletic commission, because it's all governed by the state athletic commissions, and now they're going to have to wait to fight and wait to make money, because this is how they make a living.
And when they do come back, is it a case of where they're going to start at the bottom rung of the ladder, work their way back up? I know with King Mo, he was right at the verge of getting a title shot back to reclaim his belt. Cyborg obviously was a champion. Are they going to work their way back up, or are they going to be right up there at the top?
What I like to say is let's see what type of penalty that they will have, because it hasn't been determined yet. So they all have hearings. Let the due process take place, and then we'll decide from there.
Okay, very good. And Scott, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Scott Coker, Strikeforce CEO. I'm watching In the Cage.